Wow, are you seeing what I'm seeing in the crypto markets? They're on fire this week with ETHBTC breaking out, ETH USD pair breaking out, Bitcoin doing well, holding strong, and altcoins all starting to move while Bitcoin dominance starts to take its tumble a little further down. So in this show, we're going to go through a load of charts and I'm going to help you understand and navigate this alt season starting off like this. So come on, let's jump in and look at the charts. So taking a look at what's up on the 7-day. Okay, so some of these coins are picking up double-digit percentiles here. So we've got Aerodrome up nearly 70%, Lido up 56%, Pendle up 55%, Mantle up 55%, Athena up 44%, Chainlink up 38%, SPX 6900 up 33%, Arbitrum up 30%, Matic up nearly 30%, Optimism, Ethereum up 26%, Doge making a move 26%. You know, there's a lot of coins doing really well. Look, Fartcoin 24%, Aave 24%, Immutable X coming back 24%. So there's a lot of, I mean, I could keep going on. Look how many coins are in the double digit percentiles, even in 20%, 30%, up to 50, 60%, okay? Up to nearly 70%, some of these coins. This is a fantastic week for altcoins. Will it continue? Well, that's what we're going to look into today and try and find out. Okay, so where are we in alt season? Okay, so here it says on Blockchain Center, it is not altcoin season. And by the numbers, it's not, because you're supposed to have, I think it's when it's, if 75% of the top 50 coins have performed better than Bitcoin over the last 90 days, it is altcoin season. So it may not be indicating that yet, but I think we're getting very close now, okay? When this says it's altcoin season, okay, and this is up there, you know, most of the gains have already been, not already been had, but we are well underway, if you get what I'm saying. So if you're not in the markets yet, or if you're, you know, a bit underweight in your positions, maybe it's a good time when you see a little pullback to add or get some entries, because I believe that we're getting to this stage of the cycle now where things are going to heat up really quickly. And will this go vertical in a straight line? Who knows? I mean, when you look back before, it's done different things, okay? When we go back to, where was this? This was in November, okay, around the elections. Things got overheated very quick, very euphoric, very fast, okay? And we was starting to see signs of retail because of things like the Trump coin and Trump talking about Bitcoin all around the elections and everything. Everything got really hyped up really quick. Then you had meme season as well. And because you had meme season, a lot of that activity was going on Solana, Ethereum, and Solana really made its moves then. Sui did too, Ondo, Mantra, you know, all of those coins were doing really well. The real world asset narrative or the meme coin trading narrative, whether it's on Base or Solana, etc. Yeah, so that got really heated quite quickly. But then when you go back, there's other times there've been alt seasons, you know, like climbing out of 2023, the end of 2023, there was a bit of a alt season there with certain coins doing really well. And then, you know, going back to 2022, this was coming out of the bear market, okay? Sorry, Bitcoin hadn't even bottomed yet, and then altcoins were popping off, that was right. And then you've got sort of this 2021 time. I think I'd got into crypto somewhere around there, October, November of 2020. Okay, and I saw this alt season, and I saw how it continued for ages as well, like that. You know, it was from, I would say from around February, March was really good up until about May, and then we got that dump. And then, you know, and then we had the rally up for Bitcoin up until the end of, it was like till November 2021. And certain altcoins made their all-time highs back then. But majority of the altcoin market wasn't performing like it was here. This felt really euphoric up there. I remember that well, and I'm going to be watching out for that happening again. And here we have a look on coin market cap at some of the top 100 coins that have outperformed Bitcoin in the past 90 days. Okay, so here we see Bitcoin down here. Okay, all these coins have, and you can go and look at this yourself on the Altseason Index. Okay, so you can see the index there on coin market cap, and you can see all the coins that have outperformed Bitcoin. I don't know if you're in any of them to have a look, see some of them are your coins. You would know, obviously, you'd see them pumping in the past couple of months. Okay, so up the top there, I think this is meme. What coin is this? This meme core. So that's a coin that I don't even know about. Okay, so obviously some sort of meme coin, up around 600%. Then we've got Pengu up 178%, SPX up 148%, and it goes on. The list of gains here for some of these coins is great. I'm in several of these coins, so that's really good to see. And of course, we was going to take a look at Bitcoin dominance, wasn't we? Okay, so let's have a look what's going on with it. Okay, I've been watching this quite closely over the past few days, watching its movements. Okay, this is it on the weekly. Okay, it's breaking this long-term trend line. Okay, look at that. Yeah, touch point, and it touched there, and it's now breaking down. And I said once we get past this 60% level, we'll be into a good season of altcoins. Okay, and it's almost breaking this 60% level. It's below it, so let's zoom in on the daily. Okay, it's there, it's breaking below it. It would be nice to see a strong weekly close. Let's get this daily close in first, and then we've got a weekly close tomorrow, and we'll see where we're going from there. But the fact that it lost this low and it's breaking down lower, I mean, because that was a historic support level for it. Okay, and it's breaking down, and then this is a resistance level, breaking down below that. Next level we're targeting down here is a 58.92%. If we can get down there, that would be great. But you know, where do I see this going for the cycle? Let's take it back on the weekly. Okay, and you know, previously, you know, in other cycles, yeah, it's got down to this 39% level. Okay, it's got down there in both the 2017 2018 cycle and also in the 2021 2022 it was down there. Okay, so can it get there? I mean, that would be fantastic for altcoins. I mean, even if we get like a higher low here, you know, I mean, look, it all depends on what happens with altcoins. Okay, Bitcoin's got such a strong narrative around it with institutions at the moment, as a store of value. Okay, people just really want to accumulate it. Okay, now the altcoin market is very different. I think apart from Ethereum, you're starting to see, you know, some of these Ethereum treasury companies and that, but you know, you've got the whole altcoin market to contribute towards this coming down. So it all really depends on how much hype we can get around all the blockchain technology in as a whole, you know. And here we have ETHBTC. Okay, looking at this on the monthly first of all, because I want to show you something. But look here, we've got the 5 and 13 EMAs about to turn bullish here on the monthly. Okay, you know, maybe it's, so we've got the monthly candle here. We are quite new in August. Okay, so we're going to have to wait till end of August, September before this crosses. But if we can get a cross of this yellow 5 EMA and the red 13 EMA, okay, and if you want this indicator for all these EMAs, just look for the trader's reality indicator on TradingView, and you can get that for yourself. And I find these 5 and 13 crosses quite significant sometimes. Okay, and I'll show you why. The last 2 times 5 and 13 crossed bullish like that on a high time frame, okay, on the monthly, was 2017, and look what happened after, and 2020, and look what happened after. Okay, and that was Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Now, if Ethereum's the second most dominant cryptocurrency by market cap. Okay, so if Ethereum moves against Bitcoin, that really does like lead Bitcoin dominance falling down. So even if you're not an ETH holder, I suggest you always keep an eye on ETHBTC because it's an indicator for how altcoins will do in general. Okay, now let's take it back. Oh no, first of all, I'm going to show you this. Okay, this is Bitcoin dominance. I'm overlaying here. Now, what do you see here? Okay, very similar pattern. Okay, so where ETHBTC had a higher high, this had a low. Okay, and then when it had a lower high, it had a higher low on Bitcoin dominance, and then you can see it sort of led its way up as this led its way down. Okay, and then ETHBTC bottomed out and started moving up like that. Well, Bitcoin dominance topped out and moved like that, and then Bitcoin dominance dropped, ETHBTC rallied. Okay, and then this bowled out. Okay, like a big cup formation. Okay, and this was like the inverse of that. Okay, and then they meet. This pulls back. Bitcoin dominance pulls back. ETHBTC moves up, and look, and I'll show you that by inverting it. Just pull this up and then invert the scale. Okay, now we can try to level this up a little bit. Okay, look at this. Okay, move it down. There we go. You can see it's pretty much the same, right? Okay, so that's what I'm saying about ETHBTC is the inverse of Bitcoin dominance pretty much. But like once ETHBTC starts making its move, you can bet your life altcoins are going to start popping off, depending on their narrative and what they've got, what events they've got coming up, and what developments are going on with those chains to make them have that hype cycle and narrative. Yeah. And looking at ETH on its USDC pair, okay, it is broken out of this level that it's been held below since March 2024. Okay, and then also if I draw a line here, okay, from the old all-time high of ETHUSD, okay, yeah, it's been below here since this trend since 2021. Okay, it's a 4-year trend. Okay, but there you go. Look, it's taken a good run for it here. The next target pretty much is the all-time high. You've got some resistance here if I zoomed in on the daily. You've probably got around here. So you've got 4551, and then you're heading up to 4859 to the all-time high. Okay, so it's moving. Can it take a little pullback? Sure, but it looks like it's on fire. I mean, look, where was the pullbacks here? Where it can move a significant amount before it gets that pullback. Maybe it gets up to 455. Okay, and then it pulls back to 4,100 again and retests it before moving up higher. Possibly anything can happen in this stage of the cycle. We are starting to heat up a bit. We're starting to see some serious moves happening. I mean, and when Ethereum starts getting out into price discovery, and we don't know what Bitcoin's going to do as well. Bitcoin's doing pretty well. It's not far away from all-time highs. I think I checked earlier. We're not going to do Bitcoin today, but it's about 117k. It was touching at the highs. That could soon be at 120 or the old-time high of 123. That could happen. And then if you've got ETH and BTC both in price discovery, it's going to be fantastic for all the other altcoins. And that's what we're concerned about, isn't it? Altcoins, because that's where the gains are. That's where we're going to make the money that we want to make. And then we look at total free versus BTC. Okay, so this is everything excluding BTC, ETH, and stablecoins in the top 10 compared to Bitcoin. Okay, and look how far behind this is. ETHBTC, if you look where that is again, let's take that off. Look how much that's moved away from the lows. Okay. And then we look at total 3. Okay. Doesn't look as strong, does it? You know, and this is on the weekly. Okay. But we're just starting to get the 5 and 13 cross here now. Okay. It's just happened. It's moving up. You know, first of all, you want to break this level around 35. Okay. And then, you know, then I want to get it above the 50 as well, the 50-week EMA. Start taking on the 200-week EMA and breaking this down sloping trend line. I mean, this is how much you've got to go. So if you're looking at some of your altcoin bags now and you're thinking, you know, this is great, you know, seeing double-digit gains and everything, you know, this is how you get the X's, you know. You know, this you're looking at, you know, 5, 10 X's for certain altcoins to get up to the all-time highs, you know, and then if it goes higher than that, you know, it's going to be fantastic. And looking at total 3 on its USD pair, okay, so I was looking at this trend line. It broke out before, then came back down, and I was like, it failed, okay, and then it started to edge up past it again, okay. It found support on the 50 EMA. Okay, 5 and 13 weeklies are bullish. Okay, this could be coiling up now to just go parabolic up there, you know. And looking at where we are with the all-time highs. Like I say, I've got these. I always mention this. I've got this plotted out on this chart, and I'm not taking them off. Okay, because we're so close, you know, to the rest of this cycle playing out. And I believe that altcoins are still in the optimism phase, because they haven't broken the all-time highs. Once they break the all-time highs, you know, then you're going to see the belief come back into the market. That's when you start to see the retail investors, the new retail investors coming to the market who are just new to discovering crypto, finding out off their friends, seeing things on TV, you know, all of that sort of stuff, finding things on YouTube like this. And then, you know, that's when the thrill and euphoria stages come. And then, you know, they start making more money. And then they start putting more money in. And then, you know, at that point is where you really want to be starting to exit, when you start seeing those euphoric headlines, those big stories, and you start seeing coins in price discovery, breaking all-time highs, and just going on mad rallies, printing gains well past their all-time highs. And looking at others versus BTC. I haven't drawn anything on this chart, so let's have a little look, okay? So what we got, okay, so we always look at these down sloping trend lines, okay, because once you break them, you see a change of structure, okay? And it's others BTC is also, was there a trend line here? Okay, no, not really. Got quite, almost. I mean, look, there's not enough touch points to say that's a low, okay? But then, you know, you've got this one up here, so maybe you could say it's like that, okay? And then you want to see it kind of break out of here. Okay, let's put some EMAs on as well to have a look, okay? And this is on a weekly, and what's the 5 and 13 doing? Okay, 5 and 13, yet they're sort of messing around there. They're starting to get entangled. Okay, and when you really want to look, you can put it on hollow candles. Then you can start to see, okay, 5 and 13 have ticked bullish. Okay, on the weekly, that's great. So very similar to total 3. You kind of want to see it break the 50. Okay, then the 200, then the downsloping trend. These are the things you want to watch out for on these charts. Okay, once you start ticking these boxes off, that's happened. Like, first of all, you want to see the 5 and 13 week cross, then you want to see the 50 taken, then you want to see, and these things can happen over weeks, you know, even months sometimes. You know, it could be like it gets up here in the next week or so to the 50, gets rejected from it first of all, there's your pullback, you know, alts get smashed again, and then it starts taking a second go at it, or maybe a third go at it, and that's when you break out. And, you know, sometimes you can even see quite a big pattern here. You know, you could get a W formation, you could go test the 50, come back down, retest the 5 or the 13, then start getting those legs up. You know, that's what you kind of want to look at. Okay, but things it's positive to see these signs coming now. It's very early to say it's alt season, because I think a lot of coins got smashed so hard that even their first moves off the lows are printing double-digit percentiles, you know. And looking at others versus its USD pair, okay? So if you notice, the BTC pairs look a bit rougher than the USD pairs. USD pairs look quite bullish, whereas the BTC pairs, and you know, that's because BTC's been having such a strong performance, you know, and we've been waiting for alt season to happen. And now we're starting to see dominance coming down. It's the early signs of it. You know, dominance could always just take a little pump back up again. But I'm pretty confident to say Bitcoin dominance is top now. It's just a matter of like, what does it do now? Does it, like, how much does it bounce back up when it does? Or does it just fall through like it has in other cycles? I mean, I could just go back at dominance quickly again. Okay, just look at the drops. Okay, so this was 2021. Once it started breaking down, it just capitulated, you know, and it done a similar thing in 2017 as well. It took like a few little legs, okay, but like some of the drops are just ridiculous. So to see a little drop like this and already see altcoins printing, you know, what if this just drops to there, like within a space of a few weeks? You know, it could be insane. Okay, so yeah, going back to others on its USD pair, okay, it looks like it's trying to break this level here around 300 billion. Then you've got 350 billion and 450 billion up near the all-time high of around 493 billion. So $500 billion is the target for others. You know, and this is all the coins excluding the top 10. So that also takes out obviously USDC and USDT because they're in there. And then you've got, you know, it's no Solana, no, it's just all the altcoins outside the top 10. And, you know, this is looking very, very bullish, okay? Because you've got this, on one hand, you've got this almost, some people could say they're watching out for a head and shoulders, okay? And that is something to be aware of because you've got a shoulder there, you've got a head there, you could potentially have a shoulder there, which would be worrisome. But I believe the stage of the cycle we're in, you've always got to weigh up everything. You've got to weigh up economics, fundamentals, technicals, okay? Economics wise, we've probably got rate cuts coming, okay? That's almost a given now. Fundamentally, you've got institutions accumulating. You've got the 401ks in the US, which is like basically Americans' pension plans, where they're allowed to accumulate crypto in those plans. You've got so many other bullish fundamentals and narratives for crypto as a whole anyway. And then technically, you know, some of these charts are lining up now. You've got Bitcoin dominance breaking down, you know, all of these types of things, ETHBTC leading the way. This is all very cyclical stuff that's always happened in every cycle. So, you know, do you want to go against something that's cyclical? I wouldn't argue with it. So for now, I'm feeling bullish about all of this. I'm feeling like this is riding up. This is an uptrend as well. So, you know, you've got to if you're calling that a reversal pattern on the zoomed out chart, I just don't think it's time. Bearing in mind that most cycles usually end sort of Q4 of the post-halving and election years. So there's time to run up, and you know, some of the other fundamentals, things like the ISM still printing low readings, rate cuts could possibly go on into next year. You've got it's the midterm year where Trump's going to want to make, you know, his policy look really good, like he's, you know, what he's done. He's going to want that, make that look, you know, that he's done a great term so far, halfway through, so he can, you know, continue to hold power. And yeah, I just think this is going to go. It's going to go. And it broke this downtrend, okay? And it came back and it almost retested it. But look where it's sitting on the EMAs, okay? You've got the 5 and 13 starting to fan out. Okay, you've got this is potentially going to be an engulfing candle and breaking out. I'd love to see this by the weekly close tomorrow night being higher. Okay, that would look really bullish on the charts. Then you could know that maybe next week we're going to start, and the week after start challenging these other levels perhaps. So yeah, looking good. USDT dominance, okay? Put it up there. We want to see the party zone and the after party zone. As I explained on one of my previous videos, when USDT dominance, okay, starts to break these levels, this is where fun really starts, okay? Because that will mean that so many stable coins starting to pile into other things, altcoins and trades and all sorts of things, okay? And we've been watching these levels here, okay? And by the way, so in case you missed it on the other video, what I'm trying to say about it being the party zone and the after party zone is, you know, when you turn up at the party, okay, all the drinks are flowing, you know, everything's good, you know, anything can happen, it's a great time and everything like that. When you start getting to the after party, okay, you're scraping around for the dregs, you probably should go home, okay? And yeah, so when it gets down there, probably should be where you're taking profits and everything, because, you know, that's probably game over. Because where we can look from other cycles as well, okay, look, you know, February 2021, 22, you know, this was March. This was like a time where you really want to be taking profits, okay, on all your altcoins. If you'd been in since, you know, even like the year before or leading up to that, and you've made considerable gains, you know, when you see dominance get down to that level, you really want to start exiting your bags, taking profits, making sure you sort the things you need to sort out in your life, you know. The fear and greed at the moment for Bitcoin is at 67, okay? So we've been as low as, you know, we actually hit a neutral reading the other day. I don't know why that says greed there. It said neutral the other day. Okay, so we did hit neutral, okay, and now we're back into greed, okay. Yesterday was more greed, it was 74, and, you know, it can get down, it can get as high as like readings as like in the high 80s, low 90s, okay. This is the sort of readings you can get when things start to get really overheated. So we're not even there yet for Bitcoin, okay? And Bitcoin kind of leads the near-term cycles, okay? By the way, this is going to update again in about by the time I release this video. So see what it says then. Maybe it's a little higher after today's action. But what I'm trying to say is extreme greed in a bull market could stay in it for a very long time. So it's not one of those ones where you want to be like saying, you know, when you get a high extreme greed reading, I'd say, yeah, take profits. But right now, I'm thinking just hodl, because I think even if we get some pullbacks, we're in a bull rally now, okay? And if you want to know how well crypto's doing as a whole, go to DeFi Llama, just go on that first page where it says total value locked, and you'll see that the TVL for the total value locked in crypto, which is on all the chains which have got smart contracts and staking and all of this sort of stuff and liquidity pools and everything like that, okay, total value locked in DeFi, 150 billion, okay? So, and you can see that this is continuing to make highs. Let's zoom in on that a bit. Okay. So in the past, since last Friday, okay, sorry, last week, we're moving up. Okay, it's moving up billions of dollars. It's moved up from 130 billion to 150 billion. So it's added around 20 billion on DeFi. So that's positive for the markets as well, let alone all the price action. You can see that, you know, the crypto is healthy. Okay. And when we look at the this is the total 6 market cap, okay? So this excludes Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins, okay? And this is looking at the risk levels over here on into the cryptoverse. And I like this chart because it just shows like how hot things can get. See the red colors, okay? So you know, this was 2017 cycle, okay, and this is 2021 cycle. Look, we've just only, you know, we've had a couple of highs and lows, but it's just been staying in this sort of like yellowy and turquoisey colours. You know, we didn't get blue again. We didn't go into a bear market after these lows, okay? And we haven't had red yet. We haven't had red for, you know, an overheated, euphoric market, okay? And look how long it can stay in that red for. Look at like 2017 for ages. You know, 2021 for ages. We could have all this to come, you know? And another thing, so when things are getting frothy in the markets, go and check the top ranked iOS App Store apps, okay? And look for things like Coinbase, Phantom Wallet, Binance, Robinhood, all of these top like retail on ramps, okay, and you'll look for them, and they'll be, if it's things are getting really frothy, you'll start to see them in the top 10, top 20, okay, even in the top 100, okay. At the moment, I can scroll down this whole list here on the left hand side, and I cannot see a single crypto app, okay, and that is going all the way down to the top 200 or so apps, okay, not a crypto app to be seen. So if you are accumulating, holding crypto now, okay, and if we're going to get the full-on alt season with mass retail influx, okay, you are early. We are early, okay, and we can see that in those charts such as Total Free, others, everything, okay. So, you know, when things got a bit frothy back in November around the elections, yeah, we had Coinbase, Robinhood, and Phantom even got to, I think it was like in the top few apps, okay. Even I think for a day it might have been a #1 app. I think it was when they released a Trump coin or something like that. So, yeah, nowhere to be seen at the moment. Everything's good. And the YouTube subscribers are still very low, okay? You'd think with the amount of people on YouTube these days, okay, these highs of 2021 would get dwarfed. You'd imagine them to be dwarfed every time because of the more people with phones, with internet, with YouTube, with subscriptions to YouTube. That you think that as soon as the markets were going up, you know, you think the numbers would go up for the viewers, and they do, okay? So when prices have gone on surges in the last year or two, more so 2024, okay, we saw these highs, okay? Now, that would have been equivalent to early 2020, okay, or mid-2020, similar to that, okay? We're yet to see anything like this, okay? And we are starting to see some movement, okay? It was trending down, then it started to make some little moves, okay? And then it made a recent high there. When was that? That was around, July, okay? And then what are we going to start to see this creep up more? So we're going to keep watching that on this show anyway. And then crypto market cap, okay? It says here it's undervalued by 5.87%, okay? So this is the valuation, fair value line on the logarithmic chart for total crypto, okay? As you can see, it's been fighting with this line now. Well, it dropped below it back in 2022. It held below it quite a lot for a while, all through until 2024. It broke above, failed, came back down, retested it, came back down, then it broke above again, then it fell down again, and now we're testing it once again. And I think, you know, if you bang on the doors enough times, it's going to open, okay? And I think that's what's going to happen now. I think it's going to open. We're going to start to see this move up, okay? So there's that to look out for as well. And then if we look at the total valuation versus trend line, by the way, all these charts are on Into the Cryptoverse, which is an analytical company run by Ben Cowan. I'm sure many of you watch his shows. Very good analyst, and you know, compliments to him and his team for putting together this platform. I use it all the time, and I really recommend you check it out as well. I think I only pay like $40 a month to access to all these charts. Yeah, and they're brilliant. You know, couldn't live without them. They're great for monitoring the cycle, how it goes. I mean, look, you can get all your charts on TradingView, but when you want to just do something else, a little bit of an extra edge, this gives it to you, okay? And look, so it's below the valuation line here as well, okay? The fair value line, okay? So its valuation is now at 90. So it's at 89. No, there it goes. Now 92.3% of fair value, okay? So it's got another nearly 8% to go, okay? And then we could start breaking out like we have in previous cycles. Look at, here we go, look, 2013 cycle, you know, and then we had the extra highs in end of 2013. Then we had the 2017 cycle, the 2021 cycle. And yeah, look, you could say these are lower highs, okay? diminishing returns and all of that. But I'd say even if we are going to go to here, there's a fair while to go. Okay. And in other news, okay, like I mentioned earlier, Trump to allow crypto in 401k plans for the US workers. Okay, so this is brilliant. This means that the average American can, as part of like a pension plan for themselves for their retirement, they can start not just investing in stocks and everything like that, gold and precious metals and everything like that. They can now add crypto. So bullish, if people are bullish on something like Ethereum or Solana for the long term, they can start accumulating that now, and that's just going to be, an ongoing bid on the altcoin market. Fair enough, a lot of people will probably opt to have Bitcoin first of all, but there will always be that speculation. Maybe they put, maybe they've got, like, say you've got someone who's quite reserved and conservative, and they want to have 50% of their savings in the stock market. They might want to have 25 to 30% in Bitcoin. Some people might be the other way around, more bullish on crypto than stocks, but they might want to have a balance because of risk of their, retirement funds. But they might want to have some ultra risky stuff. And, when I say ultra risky, it's for us crypto degens, it's not that risky, but they might want to have, Chainlink, some Cardano, some Solana, some XRP, all of that type of stuff. And I think with the ETFs coming now, that's going to fuel that even more. So, like by September, October, we should start to hear more signs of altcoin ETFs coming into play. Okay, and I believe a lot of them are going to be your Ethereum based stuff. This is why I've gone heavier into Avalanche, Uniswap, Aave, like DeFi, DEXs, like stuff that the chains need and require to operate as an ecosystem. And I think Ethereum is going to be the leading ecosystem still. And I'm still heavy in my Solana and Sui ecosystems, Near Protocol, a few others. I think many are going to do well, but it's very much going to be American based. I think very much affiliated to the Ethereum Solana ecosystems leading the way. And I think Sui can get there as well, but it's obviously Sui's so new, and yeah. And then the SEC have given the green light on liquid staking, okay, and it's sent it past 4K. So, regulatory clarity fuels surging price across Ethereum's staking ecosystem, with layer 2 tokens and optimistic roll-up projects posting double-digit weekly gains. What to know? Okay, the SEC's clarification liquid staking earlier this week continued to boost the sector, pushing ETH above 4K for the first time since December and sparking big gains in things like Lido and ETHFi. Ethereum Layer 2 networks rallied alongside ETH, with Optimism's OP up 13% on the weekly, Blast 6.3%, and Mantle's M&T soaring 50%. I've also seen that Arbitrum's up as well. Polygon's looks like it's starting to make a slow recovery. Arve's been doing great. I think the main one to mention though has been Chainlink. Chainlink's been on fire this week. Really good. Yeah, so, and I've seen like Uniswap starting to pick up. The whole Ethereum ecosystem starting to pick up. So if you haven't got your entries on Ethereum at the moment or its ecosystem, just, well, I don't want to say to anyone to FOMO in. It's never a good idea. Just wait for that pullback. It might not be now. It might be that we get a little bit higher before the pullback comes, but the pullback will come. Okay, whether it's now or whether it's in a couple of weeks' time, it will happen. Things don't just go straight green light, green candle forever. So just, and then at least once it pulls back and you can see some cooling in the market, you're getting a bit of a safer entry than trying to FOMO in and catching it at the highs. Then you've got to wait and sit it out through the pullback or correction in the red. So yeah, it's always best to wait for them moments and not FOMO in. I mean, the time was the other day where I was saying to you that I think everything's bottomed and we're going to start moving up soon. I was starting to see those early signs of it. Yeah, it was right. And I didn't buy too much at that point, but I did reallocate some of my portfolio. I exited Cardano, which was the main point. Just weren't bullish on it anymore, really. I was playing around with some DeFi, doing some lending, borrowing. I was doing some swaps on dexes, and I was just getting a feel for some of the chains I was in and seeing how much, what I felt about them, what I thought of them, what the user experience was like. And I just felt Cardano, after all this time, was really lacking something. It lacked liquidity, it lacked stable coins. And then you think, right, what Solana and Sui have done, and other chains as well. And I just think the user experience wasn't there. I think Cardano is still a great project. I believe in Charles Hoskinson. I believe there's a future for Cardano as a blockchain. But do I see? And I think that it's going to get a lot of retail hype still. People call it one of them dinosaur coins like XRP and everything like that. It's got that retail. It's got a really strong community. So I don't want to FUD it for anyone that's in Cardano. I do really strongly believe in it. I just felt like I'm here to make money, and where is it going to get to? Is it going to get to the all-time high of $3? Probably. Does it go much past that? It's already sitting there at like nearly 80 cents. So what, I'm not here for a 2-3x, so I'm looking for better opportunities. And I think long term, I think it'd be great. I think I would look at Cardano again in the next bear market and see whether I want to accumulate it again. Because it's done really well for me. I've done well with it in 2021, and and I've had some gains in this cycle from Cardano as well. But I just saw that the ETH narrative was there, the institutional ETH narrative was there, and I don't even particularly want to buy ETH too much. I mean, for institutions, it's great gains. If it gets from from here 4K to 10K, great gains for them. I'm in it for more than that. Then I look at things like Aave, Uniswap, Chainlink, and a few others that have been beaten up really badly or just been suppressed for a while, and I just think, I believe that they can get to all-time highs and break them and surpass it. And I just think there's good gains to be had by buying the picks and shovels of the Ethereum network. And Coinbase is rolling out DEX trading on its app, starting with Base and Solana coming soon. So this means that all the coins that you can buy on the DEXs, such as Aerodrome and others, they're now going to be integrating with Coinbase. So you're going to be able to buy more coins. So this is opening up more lower cap cryptos to the retail Coinbase market. So if you're on Coinbase or thinking about using it, there's going to be way more coins on there soon. I hope you liked that show. Very straight to the point, bringing up the charts, just giving you an insight as to what I'm thinking. Obviously, none of this is financial advice. This is just me on my journey through this crypto cycle, hopefully taking you with me and just showing you what I'm doing along the way. And if you can get anything from that, great. And, I look forward to seeing you on the next video. So I'll catch you soon. The next one, by the way, will be a meme coin show, because I did promise that on the last one, but I just felt so much had happened in the last week. I just wanted to cover some of these charts. So I'm going to give you 5 of my favorite meme coins in the next video. And that'll be coming out shortly. So see you soon.